Welcome to Coal Nation, the official podcast of the American Coal Council. Join us as we dive into the critical conversations shaping the future of coal. From industry experts to policymakers, we're exploring coal's essential role in America's energy, economy, and global trade. Whether it's powering communities, driving innovation, or securing strong global economies, coal is at the heart of it all. ACC, proud to be American, proud to be coal. Coal Nation starts now.
Good morning, everybody. Emily Arthur with the American Coal Council, and I am so excited today to be at Iron Senergy's Cumberland mine. We are underground with Justin Thompson, and we are going to have a great talk today, talking about coal and everything that goes with it. Thanks, Justin, for being here.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you for coming, and thank you all for setting this up. I'm excited to have you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your idea to go underground, because we've been working on this for a while, and why underground and why now?
You know, there's a lot of content out there, and certainly it'd been easier to do this in a studio somewhere, but I think it's incredibly important to me anyway, and I think it does a much better job of telling the story to be here. Being in the environment, it makes it feel much more real, and it's just incredibly important to me and something I wanted to do it from underground.
No, this is amazing. This is now my third opportunity to be at Iron Senergy's mine, and your people are fantastic. Like this is the heart and soul of coal right here, and so happy to be here and showing people what it's about. Let's take a tour of how you came to own Cumberland and what it means to you.
Yeah, that's going to be a documentary.
Okay.
We're probably going to need 90 minutes for that. No. Yeah, it's been a long journey. Started out in the industry, I guess 20 years ago, and navigated my way working at various places, whether it was utilities or coal production companies, small and big, and navigated through the downturns and the bankruptcies and the mine closures and, the downsizing of the industry. To where through all of that, and I also worked for a steel company, and through all of that, networking and talking, and always wanted to do something on my own, just didn't know what that would be. I actually thought it'd be on the sales and marketing side. I dabbled in that for a minute, but just through all that networking and just staying active in the industry, this opportunity presented. I was talking to the previous owner, and they had shared their strategic vision for up here, and I said, well, let me take a look at it, and started looking at it. Just kind of fell in love with all the things that were there, that I saw this incredible value and such an opportunity. So, yeah, December 20, we closed. I closed on the acquisition December 20.
And here we are today.
Almost 5 years.
Wow.
It's crazy, hard to believe. And
not an easy time for the industry to be closing in 20, coming into 21.
No. So it's hard to believe, even when having lived it, but we showed up here at a mine that was going to be closing. At that time, previous ownership had announced they were closing the place in 2 years. December 22, it was supposed to have closed. And so when we got here, we very quickly realized that, one, there's a market for thermal coal, and I always believed in that. And two, we had a lot of work to do to turn this place around and to set it up for long-term success. And so we probably had to do, I don't know, it's hard to quantify this, but probably had to do about 5 years worth of projects in about 2.5, 3 years, and doing all of that during COVID. That really, I would say, played into 2022, hyperinflation, labor market challenges, and supply chain issues. So the fact that this team pulled that off with all those challenges is pretty remarkable. It's hard to believe talking about it now, even though I lived through it. It's like, how did we pull that off?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we did it because of the quality of people that we have.
Yeah.
That's the only way you pull this off.
I think for those that have been in the coal industry, we certainly understood where this was going to go. Like, have raised flags for a long time that we weren't going to have enough energy. Coal needed to be appreciated. What did it mean to you to sit and have the president sign EOs recognizing coal? What did that day mean?
It was a very surreal moment. I was there to be in the White House as a coal miner and to be representing this company and this mine and this workforce. It was hard to believe, honestly, given all the things that we had gone through over the past 15, 20 years, and that it's over and the industry's going away, and to be there, it was incredibly exciting. It was. Made you really feel somewhat validated, like, yeah, I'm not crazy. I kind of it was completely refreshing and exciting. It really was.
Yeah, I think sitting in the audience and just seeing the appreciation that the president had for our miners that were
Yes.
up there.
It's genuine too.
It was genuine.
It's absolutely genuine.
And I know we were late getting started that day, but it's because he spent a lot of time with those individuals.
Yes.
And talking about the jobs and showing the appreciation, which I think was great for the industry. I mean, it shows who we are.
Yes.
Yeah. And since that time, we've had an incredible amount of things coming out of the administration in support of coal. And we're seeing our energy actually be recognized that we're affordable, we're secure, it's available. And reliable. Absolutely. Put you on the spot a little bit. What's the future for energy in the States?
I think it's clear that we need more, right? I mean, there are some estimates out there that we need to double the amount of electricity that we generate in this country, and we need to do it as fast as possible. I just was with a large data center developer, I think the largest in the country. They're talking about 60 gigawatts of electricity is what they need over the next 3 years just for data centers alone. This is a scale at which I don't think the country has ever faced before. I mean, I've had some events where I was and people were referring to it as the Manhattan Project of our time. I don't think that's a huge exaggeration. I mean, we're talking about something that's completely unprecedented, and you're talking about something that's really complicated, very challenging to do. Obviously, none of this happens without this administration, the permit reforms, and a lot of the things that they're doing. But even with all those things in place, I mean, we're talking about something that's largely unprecedented in this country, and it's really exciting. I think it's without question we need more electricity, right? And I think we saw this coming even before data centers and AI, which is all the buzzwords these days. I mean, when you go back to 2019, 2020, and I'm thinking about getting into the thermal coal space when everyone else is running into the met space, to me, it seemed like there's a long runway for good quality thermal coal in this country. It can't be replaced. What is the replacement? And when you sit around objectively and truly focus on, all right, what do you want to replace it with? There's not a good answer. When you can stack up 60, 90 days worth of fuel right next to a power plant, and that power plant can run no matter the weather, no matter the logistical, transportation, whatever disruptions, you can't replace that. And until we come up with that replacement, you have to have it. There's just no way around it.
Absolutely. And I think we see that more so every winter,
Yes.
because there are these winter storms that come through, especially in critical areas.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, the underlying story is the coal plants keep the power on.
That's one of I refer to, even yesterday I was talking to a congressman, and I encouraged him to read the FERC report that came out in 23 about Winter Storm Elliott and Uri. I mean, there's some doomsday scenarios in there that I cannot believe mainstream media, well, I should believe that mainstream media hasn't covered it, but still, I mean, you're talking about some really, really apocalyptic type scenarios that we got dangerously close to. The grid has failed multiple times.
Well, you look at Texas. I mean, you think about what happened in Texas and the minutes, like they were minutes away from a grid disaster.
Well, even in you read that, again, just going off of the FERC report, right? They estimated, what was it in there, 200 to 400 Americans is their estimate?
Yes.
Like, wait a minute,
why
200 to 400 Americans died because of cold weather, and we're not talking about. I mean, that blows my mind.
Yeah. And coal was the one standing it up.
Yes.
I think for me, in the last year, what's amazing is, and just in the last week, we've seen, and I'm from Wyoming, we've seen Basin Electric come out saying they're doing a feasibility study to add on to their Dry Fork mine. Mm-hmm. This morning, North Dakota put out a news report about they're looking at building a coal mine or a coal-fired plant. We've seen this change and the recognition that, hey, we need this power. And I think that's a good thing. But you're right, it wouldn't have happened without the administration's change in policies.
That and I think there's a lot of good that came out of just the policies. Obviously are great, but also the indirect effect of that, if you will, or the tangential, was, it put a spotlight on this. I mean, I think people that otherwise would have never focused on this are like, wait a minute, why is someone focusing on coal? Why are we talking about coal? And I think I'm optimistic, and I'm pretty confident that when people start questioning, like, why are we doing this, and they start looking into it, they're like, oh, well, we do need it.
Yeah.
And so it's extremely encouraging. Now, with all that being said, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I hope that Congress, Senate will move forward with some grid reliability legislation. That is truly what is needed. The president can only do so much with these executive orders, and obviously they can be, managed differently by a different administration with another executive order can do away with those. But we need grid reliability legislation. There's a lot of great pieces out there.
So you kind of have a segue right into another story about coal is spotlighted right now. And when I took this job 3 years ago, if I Googled coal for news articles, it was definitely negative stories against coal. Coal is dying. We've seen a change in publicity around coal. But talk to me a little bit, like Iron Senergy is out there kind of leading the social media front as far as what's going on in your coal mine, just the positive nature of mining. Talk to me a little bit about how important you believe it is for us to be telling this story and telling it well.
Yeah, so, and one of the things that comes up, as the legacy of the industry, and this industry built this country. Mm-hmm. There's no other way around it. The coal industry built this country. When you think about all the infrastructure, the buildings, the railroads, all those things, it was all done with coal, largely built this country, right? Hence the name Iron in our the company name that I came up with, because I kept thinking about, the legacy and the history, and it built the country, and it's going to do it again. Mm-hmm. Here we go again for America 2.0, if you will. We're going to rebuild this country again with the infrastructure that it needs. We're going to power it. But I think it's incredibly important. Over my brief, humble 20-year experience in this industry, there was too many times where I felt like anyway, that companies were kind of shying away from like what we are and who we are and what we do, and whether we were trying to greenwash it or do these other things. I'm not saying any one group was in those things, but nobody was standing up like, no, I'm proud of what we do and what we do for this country and what we deliver, and that's just who we are. We're unapologetic about it. I think coal miners, certainly the ones that I know, are some of the most heroic people I've ever met, and I say that having served in the military. They are very humble and they are heroic. I mean, they show up every day. Some of these guys 6 days a week. Spend a lot of time away from their families, and they work incredibly hard, and they do it with integrity. And when no one's looking over their shoulder, they're still doing the right thing. And to do that in the face of all the negative media, and doing it when people say, there's no future for you, we don't want coal, and coal's all these things, but they still came to work during COVID, during all the challenging times. They came and kept the grid supplied. I think it's incredibly important that we tell that story and we not be apologetic about it, right? Be proud of it.
Absolutely. We experience this culture every day. Like, this is something that when you talk to the people, they're proud of the job that they do. And we're talking from the person mining the coal all the way to the person using it at the end. Mm-hmm. The industry itself it's very tight. You can't talk to somebody that doesn't know somebody in the industry. So and I think when you start to portray that out, it has a lot of power. And like when we start to highlight the individuals that are doing the work, that's where we're going to see a lot of
there's an old adage, right? It's easy to dislike someone when you don't know them.
Yep.
And it's easy to dislike coal. But when you get to know these coal miners, you're going to fall in love with them. And you're not going to be able to dislike it. And anyone in the industry, I mean, it's such great people. It's absolutely the fabric of everything that's good about this world. And when people got to know these miners and the people that work in the industry, whether they're at the coal yard at a power plant or you're in this mine, it's wonderful human beings.
I love the stories that come out, like the utility workers that pushed the EV when it ran out of battery power, yeah. Because it's like, you could draw a conclusion that you're the people that were fighting against my job, and here they're out helping you. And the coal miner that goes and watches his kid from a game at a basketball game, we're just real people doing a job that matters so much and yes. should be celebrated every day.
They should be. I agree with you.
Yeah. Talk a little bit. I want to go back to what you said about being in the Air Force. How do you go from Air Force back to coal?
So yeah, went to the military right out of high school. Didn't know what I was going to do with my life, and ended up active duty Air Force. I was a mechanic. Didn't do anything super cool there. After 4.5 years, whatever the enlistment was, came back and born and raised there in southern West Virginia around coal, and came back and again was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, but I'll go get a job in the meantime until I figure out what my next adventure is. And I went to work in the industry, and it was everything I think I was looking for. So much of it is very parallel to the military. The brotherhood, the relationships, and just the whole thing, the ops tempo, everything just felt so right. And I just loved it. It was like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to go to do.
I think it's interesting that a lot of times you'll see somebody say, like, I mine, or I'm in the utility, or I'm in this, and you've had a variety. Like, you haven't just worked in thermal, you haven't just worked at a utility. Like, you've had, how has that helped you kind of get to where you're at today?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. Having worked at both big operations, small operations, big company, small company, utility. I mean, being able to, I probably haven't mastered any of it. I don't think I have, but at least having a level of appreciation for both for example, briefly working in the fuels group at a utility, I have an appreciation for how that process works and the logistics side of it. It's not as easy as you might otherwise think. And certainly on the production and shipping side at the coal mine, and the process, you make it really simple. A lot of guys underground will complain about, well, the guys at the plant. Well, until you go out there and you understand their challenges, you can't appreciate it. So it's been incredibly important. Again, being able to appreciate what the challenges are for those folks. That way you can speak to them and meet them on their level and figure out what the solution is. But it's been incredibly important.
Absolutely. That diversification in your background really lends it to having to understand the different drivers, and be able to have a conversation with the utility about what's going on at your mine. Or uniquely, you have 17 miles of rail. We
do. Yeah, we run. We were at a conference last week, and people were talking about the railroads, and I said, "Wait a minute, is this me? I mean."
Am I in this discussion?
Yeah, it was a joke, but they were talking about the class ones. But we coal process from the plant, and then from there to get it over to the river, the 17-mile railroad that we own and operate. Yep.
Fantastic. I think that's a little unique that you.
I think we're one of the last privately owned short lines in the country, I believe.
Lots of conversations about exporting thermal coal. Monday, I was in Cheyenne with a group that's going to try and open, I shouldn't say try, they're going to get a port opened out of Oakland in California to send coal overseas. What do you hear about domestic coal in the export market? And I mean, just talk a little bit about how important it is to other countries to have our coal.
Yeah, it's incredibly important.
I know you're primarily domestic.
Yeah, but we've got our eye on the export market, and we participate when the opportunity presents. But fortunately, our domestic customers have needed all that we can do. But no, it's incredibly important. China still represents greater than 50% of coal consumed in the world. It still is China. India, largest population country in the world, they're going to need a lot of coal to build their infrastructure in their country. So American coal is going to have to serve some of that role. Who better to produce that coal than America, who does it responsibly, who reclaims the land and does all the things, safety and does right by their employees and their workforce. I mean, you want American coal in that mix, and it's going to have to be.
You just touched on something that I really want to talk a little bit about, is the perception of coal mining in America. And when I travel, I'm incredibly proud of this industry. And I always attempt to have something on that says coal, whether it's my cap, whether it's a shirt, something that people know exactly firmly where I'm at. And a lot of times when people go like, aren't you scared that somebody's going to... And more often than not, I've had people come up and shake my hand. Thanks for what you're doing for the industry. Thanks for telling the story. But when you talked about we do it better, let's go down that rabbit hole a little bit, because I think for a lot of times people have this perception of the 1930s coal miner.
They totally do.
And talk about how technology and where we're at today.
Yeah, so we've had, and that's something that I guess we do differently here as well. Is I've been intentional about doing more mine tours and mine visits for. I mean, we've had groups here from the FBI to West Virginia Children's Hospital. I mean, just people that have no real touch point in the industry, but yet they have interest. So I'm like, come on, let me go take you and so I love watching that transformation of their what they're what those archaic expectations they had to when they come in here, and I love to see that. But yeah, it's very, very different from what most people would think. It's highly mechanized, obviously, and technology is a big piece of it now. For example, the longwall operator is now outside in an office watching monitors and screens. So, and there's a lot of technology out there that the equipment manufacturers are working on that I think's really exciting. Some of the stuff that they're working on, whether it's automation or otherwise. I mean, and none of this stuff is going to displace your workforce. You're just going to retool your workforce. Instead of that guy standing up there operating that machine, he's going to be back here with a laptop ready to fix that machine or service that machine. So, it's really exciting, but it's highly technical and highly complicated, far more than what people would think. Nobody's in here with a pickaxe and and loading a wagon.
Well, and actually, our podcast that just dropped was about a company that's using AI to help with a lot of different areas. Whether it's identifying maintenance issues or helping identify safety items. And you're right. The intent is not to displace a worker. No. It's to enhance and help workforce.
You're going to change that work.
Yeah.
That technician's now going to go from being an operator to, operating a machine and possibly exposed to hazards to where he's going to be far more removed from those hazards, and he's going to be, working from computer or tablet or whatever. It's that's what's going to happen. And in fact, one could make an argument that you're going to need more labor to go down that path, at least for an interim period. But yeah, I don't think anybody's displacing humans anytime soon.
Well, I know how fun it was the first time that I got to sit in a simulator and, just kind of run it from that aspect. And in my mind, I'm like, hey, this is gotta appeal to gamers and different things. But I think now when we talk about technology, and because it's not what everybody has this should open doors to a new workforce, because it is exciting. It is technology. It is doing these really fun things.
Absolutely. And I think it will. I think once we get that message out there and people are able to see that, I think the next generation may absolutely look at this industry. But it starts first and foremost with some of the things we were talking about earlier, which is, hey, this industry has a future. It has the country needs it and has a future. That's a big step in the right direction.
I had the opportunity to meet somebody from UC Berkeley that's brand new into coal. And I never thought we'd see the day that a UC Berkeley graduate would be working in coal now, like a fresh graduate. And so I think it really speaks to kind of maybe changing minds out there about who we are and what we're doing.
Now that is, I don't know this person, but that is impressive.
It's a chemist working in kind of the
new frontier,
coal to products industry. But I thought it was really cool because they see that potential in coal and decided that's where they wanted to go.
It is exciting, and the whole rare earth thing is there's some real merit to that. A lot of questions, and it's very early days, but at the end of the day, right? If we can't, the things in our lives, if it can't be grown, it has to be mined. Everything comes from the surface of the earth in some form, and so when you stop to think about rare earth elements and the extraction, and it's like, all right, you're going to go out and move all this earthen material and process it. Well, why not start with coal mining, where we're already moving a tremendous amount of earthen material, and it lends itself to that processing stream.
Yeah, and I think the thing that has kind of escaped policymakers through this whole, I hate the word transition, it should be an evolution, is where we get everything that's needed to go into power lines and grids and batteries and panels. And
well, prior to COVID, it was China, right?
It was China. Yeah. I mean,
then we've decided we're going to onshore all that, and that's where this whole electricity demand, like a lot of focus on AI, but set AI aside, there's still a tremendous amount of electricity growth coming just in industrial onshoring and electric vehicles and otherwise.
Yeah.
It's happening, and it needs to happen.
And I think the one thing about coal is we readily have it right now. Like, it's permitted. It's here. We're mining it today. And because we had offshored a whole bunch of our mining, our metals, and we're getting it from China, we'll just use that as the example. We get it from a lot of other places. But that has caused a supply chain issue that I don't think anybody ever realized, because we've gotten so far removed from our processes.
Yes. Yeah. We're headed to be a services-based economy, and that lends itself to being completely dependent on someone else for all your goods and products, and that's a very uncomfortable place for me to be in. I would offer scary,
Yeah.
but yeah, good to see that America's, awakening. I'm sad to say that it took a pandemic to get us here, but it's exciting to see that there's real change in the process.
Yeah. I think with this kind of awakening, the other opportunity that people have to understand about coal mining and the companies and the people is the community engagement that we have. I mean, like, there's a lot of mines. I can't even think of one that wouldn't support their communities. Can you talk about Iron Senergy and in the communities and how you're supporting that?
Yeah, we have our whole initiative that the team came up with, Iron Impact, and our goal there is I view it as an investment in our people. And if we create something that they want to be a part of, is the goal there. You do that by investing in not only your people directly, but also in the community in which they live and they interact, and kids go to school, etc. So yeah, we're really passionate about it, really excited about it. The Iron Impact Initiative, we do anything from, like, we're going to do a coat drive for kids, and winter coats, and all sorts of different things. Sports, obviously, we do a lot of the sports teams and so forth, and the big participant and involvement down at the Children's Hospital. We're really passionate about that, but yeah, we're just really passionate about investing in our community, which is ultimately investing in our people, right? Yeah. You want to create something that people want to be a part of and be proud of, right? I grew up in the coal communities, and I've always struggled with, you go down there and there's been mining for 40, 50, 60, 80 years, whatever it is, and you turn around and when the mine's gone, there's nothing really to show for it. And hopefully we're doing something here. We're not building buildings or anything like that, but hopefully we're leaving something that's lasting in people's lives. That's the goal.
You talk about the people being proud, and I've had this conversation with your employees, and they really are proud to be here working at Cumberland. But talk about how you've built this culture here. I mean, it's a family culture, and how did you get here? How did these people become so happy and proud to be here?
I don't know. I don't know. A lot of time. You have spent a lot of time. We approach it from the whole extreme ownership and change leadership. It's all about leadership. There's some things out there where there are no bad teams or bad leaders, right? So, and that speaks to the ownership. Not me, the owner, but the ownership of the situation. And if there's a failure, we own that, right? And the first place we look is internally. Where did I fail? Did I communicate? Did I fail somewhere? And when you do that, and I tell the guys all the time, we learned everything we needed to know in, like, kindergarten, right? A please and a thank you here and there goes a long way with these guys. But at the end of the day, it's being present, coming in the mind. It's really hard to sit outside and, communication's a huge challenge to it, right? The guy's outside trying to tell you what a problem is. If you misunderstand him, like, the best thing to do is come look at it, and that's what we do. Be down here. You got to lead from the front, and that's what you do. And meeting people where they are, understanding that the hardest thing we have to do is be a human. Life is going to be a challenge. There's going to be family needs. There's going to be whatever, sickness. There's going to be things that come up, and we just got to work with these folks as best we can. And we still have to run a business, and we have to we have to try to have some guardrails on those things. But at the end of the day, being here and being with them and helping them solve the problems, that's where it starts.
And you have to build a family. Otherwise, you don't win Sentinels of Safety. I mean, no. Let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, great honor happened this year.
Yeah, I was quite surprised by it, honestly. Sentinels of Safety Award at the preparation plant. That's a huge honor. Don't know that anyone else in the country, at least this time around, has won that. Yeah, really incredible honor. Really speaks to the leadership out there and the workforce, obviously. And the leadership's not just the management team, right? There are leaders throughout the rank and file as well. And that's what it is having the courage to say, hey, can't do that safely. Let's not do it. Let's go outside. And like we always say, if we can't do it safely, let's not do it. Let's have a conversation. If we need to get something, we'll get it. If we need to back up and do it differently, we will. But yeah, huge honor. So proud of those guys.
Yeah. It's when you empower your employees to help make decisions, then it goes through everybody, right?
Yes. That's the other piece I didn't mention is decentralized command. You want to get down to where this is the intent. These are the guidelines or the guardrails you have to follow to get there. But at the end of the day, achieve the objective. And because the best mine plan that we can put on a desk upstairs goes out the window the minute we get in here and start mining. Things will be different than what we thought they were going to be. So you have to empower these guys with the knowledge, the information to be able to make field decisions, game time decisions, if you will, when conditions change. And they got to know that you got to have that culture to where you aggressively award initiative. And you can't, if someone takes initiative, you can't punish them for it. There can't be consequences for taking initiative and making a mistake. Those two things can't be the same. So you have to reward initiative and learn from the mistakes with them.
I want to have a little bit of fun. I know you talked about football and different things, and I hope you saw, West Virginia had the Coal Rush game. University of Wyoming had Cowboys and Coal. How about these two schools? Both that night were on primetime TV so people could watch this. These two schools celebrating Eastern and Western coal. How did that make you feel?
That's, again, it's one of those moments like I can't believe it's happening,
Yeah.
right? After the past 20 years of this industry and all the things we've gone through, it's just, man, it's so exciting. And not so much for me personally, but these guys that do this and have done it for their entire career underground, and for them to get to see that and probably feel pretty validated and to feel like, hey, I am appreciated. Yeah. That for me was pretty special.
Yeah, it's my two neighbors went to the one in Wyoming. I had pictures of them down on the field, and you could see it in their faces. It was an event. It was an event. It was an event. Yes. Yeah, they were so happy to be there. Kind of almost brings tears to my eyes that that it was recognized.
Yeah,
how critical it is to the states and the communities and even the colleges when you look at the contributions that coal gives to colleges.
And I've had this conversation with my daughters, is like, on Christmas Eve when we're at home and the Christmas lights are on and all these things and the ovens, all this stuff, like, we as an industry will never be able to take a break so long as the consumer is using electricity 24/7, And so somebody on Christmas Eve is in a bulldozer or somewhere pushing coal, and it's so easy to forget about those folks. And so to see them get recognized on a national stage to where, hey, we do appreciate you. Yeah. Maybe we don't do it enough, maybe not as often as we should, but we do appreciate you. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it was incredible. We've talked a lot about different topics and different things. Is there one thing that we haven't talked about that you really think needs to be highlighted today?
There's so many things. Hopefully if we get this grid reliability legislation passed through to where we can have some visibility into a future market and what the legislative landscape will look like and our customers don't have to constantly be reevaluating, are we closing our plant, what the EPA, all those things. We need to put that to bed. Hopefully that gets resolved. After that, we can now go out here and focus on the things that we need to do, which is, as an industry, I think one of the more critical, most important things as an industry we got to be thinking about is where are we going to get the next workforce. We need to recruit people to this industry. So there's a lot of work to be done. Super excited about it. There's a lot of great potential in this industry. And it's exciting times with everything, the demand and everything that's coming.
Yeah, and we talk about grid reliability. I certainly didn't understand the grid before taking. I worked in coal, but I didn't understand the grid until I came into this role. How hard is it going to be to get people to understand that you have to have this base load, and it's about power that works? How do we do this?
I don't know. I've thought about this a lot. Like, how do you go and have a conversation with someone at the grocery store you bump into, or your neighbor at church, whatever? How do you have a conversation with them about kilowatts and gigawatts and megawatts,
terawatts?
I don't know. I'm not real sure. I haven't came up with how we do this. I've thought of all kind of little analogies and anecdotal things, but I don't know how we have this conversation. Unfortunately, I think much like it has been up until now, we're going to have to rely on the politicians to understand it and do the right thing, which is a challenge in itself. But I am optimistic that market forces will bring the consumer into focus. And when you see prices and what we're seeing going on in the PJM capacity market, or retail electricity prices, and people's power bill at the end of the day is going to make them focus on this. And I I believe at the end of the day, when they wake up and they're like, how did we get into how did my electricity bill go from, $100 to 500, whatever, 2, 3 times, 4 times? I think at the end of the day, when they start looking at it, common sense will prevail, and they'll say, well, the only main thing that's changed is we've shut down a lot of coal-fired power plants.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, that's where being dispassionate about coal, it doesn't matter. But when you stop to think about what's happened, I can't think of another industry over 20 years, so let's say a 20-year period whereby, and I'm talking about the electricity markets, where we can systematically, exponentially increase the price of what we produce and sell, but at the same time, we're going to exponentially decrease the reliability and quality of that product and service. It's insane.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the grid failing, what was it, 5 times in the past 10 years due to a winter storm alone? But at the same time, electricity rates are going up. What has changed? What have we done?
Yeah.
Shut down coal.
We shut down coal.
And spend a lot of money on intermittent sources that we call, renewable, but there's nothing renewable.
No, and you go by, you don't see as many windmills out here like you do on the plains of Wyoming, but you go by, and when you talk about the resources needed in that, I mean, just the concrete alone and the steel,
Massive.
I mean, it's massive, and all those have to come from somewhere, and coal's part of that. I mean, that's the other piece that I think people are missing, that you just can't shut this industry down, because it's so important to not just utilities, but everything. I mean, it's...
Grid reliability is real. And without this baseload generation, there is no grid reliability. And the other challenging part is you can't just run this coal fleet during those peak periods when you have demand. This coal mine, we can't just operate on peak demand periods. So we need this baseload, and it needs to run, and we need a steady state for all of this to work. There's a lot of infrastructure and a lot of institution here to try to replace, and I don't think you can.
Yeah. No, and it's just critical. I don't know how many times we can say that. Workforce is an issue for everybody.
Sure.
And I think there was a period in time where people were saying, don't follow in my footsteps, don't go into this. But I think we're seeing a difference in the coal industry now, that we're seeing this resurgence in the need for coal and people. But when we look at recruiting people here, what is the one thing you want them to know about why coal is important and why they should come to work for the industry?
Coal is important because it is what keeps this country going, first and foremost. It is what provides the baseload generation for everything else in our economy. Electricity is only, 6% of our economy, but it's the first.
You have to have it.
You have to have it, or nothing else happens. So we have to have coal. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. And why do you want to work here? Because we've got something that people want to be a part of. We appreciate our employees. We have a bright future here. We have 35 years worth of coal reserves left to mine. We have a lot of fresh capital that's been spent on equipment and infrastructure and all the things that we need to be successful. And so we have a long runway. We have a great foundation to start from, and we have an excellent team. A lot of young faces in the management team as well. A lot of energy, and if you want to work for somebody that's got a lot of energy and produces energy, but also has a lot of energy, and we're not afraid of doing the right thing, then you need to come talk to us for sure. It's
kind of fun being coal is cool at the moment. It truly is a moment, and we've got to continue to tell our story and tell it well.
We do, and there's a long history of I guess some catching up to do in that regards, I think.
Well, it certainly starts here underground doing this. I mean, my goodness, how fun for people to be able to sit and be able to watch and say, hey, we were underground and we did
1,000 feet.
1,000 feet right here. Yeah, it's fabulous.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah. Any last comments?
No, I appreciate you coming. It's a long travel for you. I hope it's been worth it.
Absolutely.
We've loved having you.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this again.
I would welcome it.
Thank you for tuning in to Coal Nation, the official podcast of the American Coal Council. Our mission is to share coal's story and showcase its critical role in powering our economy and supporting our way of life. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe. The American Coal Council represents members across the entire coal supply chain and advocates tirelessly for our vital industry. There is strength in numbers, and we'd love for you to be part of the conversation. By joining ACC, you gain exclusive access to the latest industry developments, a voice in our work that can benefit your business, and incredible networking opportunities. To learn more, visit www.americancoalcouncil.org. Together, we are shaping the future of coal, and it's exciting. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time